What's going on, guys? Another big trade went down in the NHL yesterday with the Pittsburgh Penguins trading Derick Brassard, Riley Sheahan, and a few draft picks, 2019 second and two 2019 fourths, to the Florida Panthers in exchange for Nick Bjugstad and Jared McCann. So, obviously, a pretty big trade there, lots of moving pieces. And looking at the reaction online, I'd say it's a pretty even trade, as it seems like it's a 50-50 split between people thinking Florida won the trade or the Penguins won the trade. Honestly, I do think it's a very fair trade for both teams. Derick Brassard was a pending UFA. I don't think the Penguins could afford to re-sign, so bringing back Nick Bjugstad, who's like almost as good on a much cheaper deal, at least long term. I think this season he's making an extra $1 million, $4 opposed to $3, but Brassard was making $6. He's going to try and get that $6 million back. As you can see there, Bjugstad, 26-year-old, 82 overall center, mean top 6'4" potential, like I said, making $4.1 million. And I think that's a pretty long-term deal as well. You can actually see he was 19th overall pick in the 2010 first-round draft. I forgot he actually got picked that high. Power forward there, and yeah, making $4.1 million for 3 more years. Honestly, to me, he's like that perfect third-line center. They're probably thinking he's going to like fill that Jordan Staal role they had back in the day. I mean, 6'6". Yeah, he's kind of like your perfect third-line center. Of course, too, with him, you had Jared McCann, who I think's still a pretty solid prospect. He's not too old either, 22 years old here, 79 overall. He's considered a third liner there, medium top 9 potential. He was actually a late first rounder back in 2014, and he's making 1.2 for 2 more years. So again, another cost-controlled forward, which is definitely something the Penguins are looking for. Now, in regards to Florida, I feel like they're getting a lot of nice pieces back here for those two players. Obviously, Derick Brassard, I think, is probably just above Bjugstad in terms of talent. Now, he is a pending UFA, so if Florida somehow goes on a run and end up making the playoffs, I think Brassard will help them more than Bjugstad. But if they see themselves on the outside looking in come trade deadline, they can just flip Brassard for more picks and prospects. As you can see there, Brassard, I think, is 1 overall higher. Obviously, though, he's older, 30 years old, so 4 years older, I think, than Bjugstad. Role there, second line forward, toxic potential. He was actually 6th overall back in 2006. I think that was, yeah, the Columbus Blue Jackets that drafted him. And again, the $3 million there, I think Vegas is paying half of that. So he's definitely going to be looking at $6-ish million when he hits the free agent market next summer. And then along with him, they got Riley Sheahan, who I was happy to see Detroit trade. He wasn't really doing much for us, unfortunately. And Pittsburgh was pretty average. Now, looks like Florida does want him. 26 years old, 78 overall. I think he's got $2 million left there on a 1-year deal. 4th line forward, top 9 potential. I mean, yeah, he's definitely no more than like a bottom 6 guy on any team, really. So probably play 4th line, maybe 3rd line for the Panthers. Then on top of that, though, they're getting some nice picks back. Pittsburgh's 2019, a 2nd rounder. Now, it says they're also getting 2 2019 4th round picks. One Pittsburgh owns, the other Minnesota owns. I don't see either of those here. So I'm guessing they're part of other trades where like they might turn into that pick. So really, the Penguins should have those picks in this game, but they don't. Kind of like last year, Ottawa didn't have their first when they really should have. So we'll use the Arizona one there instead of Minnesota's, and we'll use the 2020 there for the 2019 Penguins pick. It does have the same amount of value, and Florida wants both. Pittsburgh would be over the league maximum salary cap for next year. Are you kidding me? Well, that's going to make this a bit more complicated. So I figured out where the Penguins' 4th round pick was, guys. It was on Dallas, of course. They trade Alexiak back to Dallas for that pick. As you can see there, it goes through. Alexiak definitely has more value. Now, we should actually be able to make the trade as is. We have the 2nd rounder there. We have the Penguins' 4th. So I think this must be Minnesota's pick. That was originally Arizona's, and maybe TSN got it wrong. I'm not too sure. Either way, like the 4th rounders there, they all have the same amount of value. So we'll go Brassard and Sheahan again. And even after making that trade, it still says we're going to be over the league maximum salary cap. So we'll have to trade away someone else. Alright, guys, so I traded away a player so we'd have enough cap space for this trade. I feel like in real life, the cap's going to be going up next year, which is why this can happen in real life, but not in the game. So Derick Brassard, Sheahan, a 2nd and 2 fourths there for Bjugstad and McCann. Florida wants everything but Brassard. And even though Bjugstad and McCann aren't on the trade block, I feel like this trade should go through as we have about double the value there on our side. Let's see what the Panthers say. And yeah, trade is accepted even on hard difficulty, so I'll now try this trade from the Florida Panthers perspective. And before we do that trade, guys, here's your first look at Bjugstad as a Pittsburgh Penguin, although I think he did play last night. I heard like him and McCann showed up right before puck drop or something. But in-game here, honestly, looks pretty good. Sometimes like you'll trade a player to a certain team, and they just like look off in that New Jersey. I think Bjugstad looks fine there in the black and gold. Like I was saying, guys, now trying this trade from Florida's perspective. Bjugstad McCann there for Brassard, Sheahan, a 2019 2nd, 2 2019 4ths. I do have one 2020 just because obviously we can't do the Dallas trade for the Penguins when we're controlling the Panthers. Another thing I forgot to mention too, if you look at the status there, you'll see Panthers are hopeful, Penguins are contender. I feel like Penguins should probably be champion in this game, but whatever. So I had the difficulty set to easy as our value there is about half of the Penguins, so I highly doubt this goes through. And yeah, trade is rejected. So in-game, EA feels like Pittsburgh's definitely losing this trade. The stuff that they're giving up is worth a lot more, but honestly, in real life, I think it's a pretty fair trade. Brassard, most likely, Penguins just couldn't afford to re-sign, so it's basically Sheahan, a second and 2 fourths for Bjugstad and McCann. I think it's a pretty good deal as well. Like, Bjugstad's almost as good as Brassard in terms of the playoffs. Cheaper salary, long-term, locked down. And I already mentioned why I think it's a good trade for Florida. They can flip Brassard if they're not in the playoffs, and then obviously all those draft picks help them out in the future. Losing McCann does kind of suck for them, but if they can at least flip Brassard into, like, say, a second and a decent prospect, I think it's a pretty solid trade. And right here, guys, your first look at Derick Brassard as a member of the Florida Panthers. I'm actually not sure if he's played for them yet in real life. And honestly, in-game, kind of looks a lot like Vincent Trocheck to me, so this could be very short-lived if they do decide to flip him. And I think even if they don't, he probably walks as a UFA this summer. So really, unless they are for sure in the playoffs, they should just trade him for whatever they can at the deadline. But yeah, right there's your first look at Brassard. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Love to hear from you in the comments section which team you think won the trade. Again, what I've been seeing online, it seems to be pretty 50-50 split. So I'm wondering if the comment section will also be 50-50. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you as always for watching. Have a nice day, guys. Goodbye.